is now requiring mask mandates on certain property now till the end of September. Some opposition on Thursday night caused the council to defend their position. BCOP News Time 202. Traffic and weather together every 15 minutes next.
If BCOP 990 was a music station, it would be an eclectic blend of serious news and beautiful, high-level information to our listeners. Our listeners are one of the most brightest and smart consumers in any northern Brick England market. Tap into the highest net worth of information by contacting BCOP Sales at 231-272-9949. 231-272-9949.
Do you know a techie in your life that likes to have technical themed stuff in your office or workspace? Do you have a favorite catchphrase that your techie person may like? Visit techiecrafts.clickford.net. This website has more than 20 items available at your convenience. Shipping can be done within 3 business days. Use promo code 990BCOP at checkout to save 20% off for any orders over $25. Visit techiecrafts.clickford.net. BCOP News Time 203. It's time for traffic and weather together every 15 minutes. Here's Dean Michaels in the BCOP Traffic Center. Good afternoon. We have a problem on 93 northbound near the city line in Copenhagen. There is a vehicle, an RV vehicle. It's causing multiple minute delays. We have a problem downtown Copenhagen near the Constitution Avenue. There is some police situation going on right now. Southbound, eastbound on 291, there is a disabled vehicle. The helper vehicles are on the scene. Transit is reporting on their closest schedule. Next traffic update in less than 15 minutes on BCOP 990. And now. And the BCOP Weather Center, the weather is going to be cooling out a little bit this weekend. It's going to be below normal. Highs in the upper 70s with a heat index near 80. Lower 70s elsewhere with a heat index of the mid 70s. Tomorrow, more of the same. Repeating current temperature, it is 71 going up to 74 in downtown Copenhagen. We have news updates at the top and bottom of every hour on News Radio 990 BCOP. This is John Cricino in the BCOP newsroom. TechBeat comes up after this break.
If BCOP 9...
Do you know a techie in your life that likes to have technical themed stuff in your office or workspace? Do you have a favorite catchphrase that your techie person may like? Visit techiecrafts.clickford.net. This website has more than 20 items available at your convenience. Shipping can be done within 3 business days. Use promo code 990BCOP at checkout to save 20% off for any orders over $25. Visit techiecrafts.clickford.net. The following program on BCOP 990 is not representative of the management or employees of this station. Any device given on BCOP 990's airwaves should be consulted with a technical professional. BCOP radio cannot be held liable for any mistakes or errors caused by the talent or the caller in question. Thank you. And now, it's a Saturday afternoon news program from BCOP 990. This is TechBeat with your host, Stephen Clickford, President at Clickford Media Services. There's any questions regarding technology for your home or business? Call us now. And now here's your host, Stephen Clickford. Good afternoon. This is TechBeat on BCOP 990 on August 20th, 2021. Today on the first block, we're going to go through the latest technology news, and then go take your calls, and then our next hour will give you some various advice on hacking your way through through technology. Top stories this past week: Western Digital shares soared on Wednesday. After the bell, as the data storage company is reportedly talks to merge with a Japanese chip maker for memory, Kioxia Holdings. They reported 20 billion plus deal. This was reported by CNBC and the Wall Street Journal. Comes just months after the reports say that Western Digital and Micron were looking at potential mergers with Kioxia. The company closed up 7.8% on Wednesday, following an article in the Wall Street Journal saying the company might merge with Japan's holdings for $20 billion, $20 billion plus dollars. The report comes just months after the journal reported that the Western Digital and chip maker Micron was looking at potential deals with the company. So the company went up roughly. Other news this week: Forbes, the media company, Steve Forbes' media property, is going public through a SPAC deal. These alternative risky investments, some would believe, a special purpose acquisition company. That's what SPAC stands for. It's going to go public on the New York Stock Exchange soon, according to CNBC. It's in good standing, apparently. Other stuff in the news this week, we have CNET's reporting that Microsoft stands firm on Windows 11 device requirements. And part of that requires that TPM 2.0, that's that security layer on your hardware, secure boot, in air quotes. It needs 4 gigs of memory, 64-bit processors, which I would not surprised that should have been requirement. 64 gigs of storage, that's kind of reasonable. But that UEFI and TPM 2.0 is a little bit too much, in my opinion. Despite pushback from users and after testing early versions of the operating system, these minimum requirements will remain in place, Microsoft said on Friday in a blog post. However, a few more processors will be added to the hardware compatibility list. And for some, there's a workaround that may let you upgrade older machines, though you won't get Microsoft support. The reason for strict Windows 11 minimum system requirements are performance and security based, according to Microsoft. The company found that devices that didn't meet minimum requirements experienced 52% more kernel panic crashes or the blue screen of death, says CNET. These requirements are also in line for those core applications people use for video conferencing, working, and gaming, the post said. If you're not able to download Windows 11 on your device, or computer, I would say, or want to wait to get a Windows 11 PC, Microsoft will still support Windows 10 through October 2025. And the tool that allows many people to download Windows 10 for free still works. That's interesting. See, it just gave out a lot of stuff. Um, Microsoft warns cloud customers of exposed databases in email shells. This reported by CNBC 2 days ago. Microsoft warned that thousands of its cloud computing customers, including some of the world's largest enterprises, that intruders could have the ability to read, change, or even delete their main databases, according to a copy of the email and a cybersecurity researcher. The vulnerabilities in Microsoft's Azure flagship Cosmos database. A research team at the security company Wiz found it discovered access keys that control databases held by thousands of companies. Wiz CTO's Amy Ladowicz is a former CTO at Microsoft's cloud security group. Because Microsoft cannot change these keys by itself, it emailed its customers on Thursday to create new ones. Microsoft agreed to pay Wiz $40,000 for finding the flaw and reporting it. That's pretty cheap for a bounty, according to an email sent to Wiz. Microsoft people did not immediately comment on the news. Microsoft's email to customers said it fixed the vulnerability and that there's no evidence that the flaw had been exploited. Letwick's team found the problem, dubbed Chaos DB, on August 9th and notified Microsoft on August 12th. The disclosure comes months after bad security news for Microsoft. The company has been breached by the same Russian hackers that infiltrated SolarWinds that stole Microsoft's source code. A recent fix for a printer flaw that allowed computer takeovers that had been redone repeatedly, and an Exchange email flaw last week prompted an urgent U.S. Government warning that customers should install patches and issued months ago because the ransomware gangs are now exploiting it. Um, And CNBC's reporting that similar stories with regards to CNET on the support of the chip. Microsoft's put its minimal support to Zen 2 chips from AMD, the 8th generation from Intel, and Qualcomm 7 and 8 series chips. That's probably for their mobile devices. The company directed people to use an app called PC Health Check to check if their PCs could work with Windows 11. Additionally, Microsoft's website showed conflicting information on the hardware specs needed for Windows 11. One page suggested that PCs containing older processors and security chips could upgrade, while a different page said otherwise, and they used the Internet Archive reference of it. 4 days after the original announcement, Microsoft tried to clear up matters. The company said in a blog post that it was temporarily removing PC Health Check app. It insisted that PCs needed newer security chips, and it would test and identify running on Intel 7th generation and AMD Zen 1 to meet our principles. So that's your latest on technology, and also OnlyFans won't be doing. You cannot share arousing stuff. They said over a week ago they will no longer allow sexually explicit content on its service on October 1st to comply with requests from its banking and payment providers. Well, I guess so much for having this platform that is for OnlyFans, I guess. All right, BCO. The time on BCOP is approaching 2:17, And I'm going to go to a traffic update right now. And we'll get the traffic to you in a moment. This caller is John Deere Donald in the Beachfield Team Traffic Center. And welcome back to TechBeat. Some more news on the week here. Let's see what else copies I have here, other than OnlyFans here. Other news in the week. There's some interesting flash sale on Lego sets on CNET of all places. That's interesting. There's an interesting commentary from CNET, Mike Sorrentino. iMessage and FaceTime are nice perks from Apple, but are they really that important? And my decision to swap to an iPhone earlier this summer wasn't supposed to be a matter of much. Android phones are great. Well, they're great if you're a sex offender. I mean, creeps use Androids, just leaving it at that. And I've been using many non-iOS services that exist for texting and video chatting for my friends and family. Well, he's weird. I mean, Android stuff are third-rate crap if you ask. I mean, I haven't really used it enough, but it requires an engineer to use the damn things. I just use whatever service works easiest for them, whether it's WhatsApp, Signal, Insta, or other. If nothing else, while standard texting, I love what this is antiquated, it still works most of the time. So while I'm aware of my new phone purchase that will allow me access to FaceTime and iMessage, I consider it another aspect of having an iOS device. After all, Apple services are like Apple Arcade and Apple Music are touted as being best or exclusive Apple products by every one of them that rivals them that works with both iOS and Android. Sure, I thought we moved past whether someone's like green bubble or blue bubble in a text message, but then after I started using my new iPhone, several messages started coming in from several friends. I'm so happy you're blue now. Bulina La Club at Apple. It's about time. These are actual statements while they're texting in person that friends that are made aware of my switch made me, but I simply do not understand why. Because I don't know who the hell you are, but I don't think you have empathy, mister. Um, you're the only one to talk that's on one. Hold on, let me read here. Yes, iMessage is convenient, so is FaceTime. While I personally decided to buy an i12 Pro Max for the redesign and app privacy controls in iOS 14 and a half, I didn't expect it to be a difference for anyone in my social circle. Well, he doesn't understand the emotional part of why Apple products exist. Um, Despite the clear comfort people have with these non-Apple services, in the weeks that led up to my device swap, several of my friends plan to quit those other services once I move to iOS. You're the only reason why I talk on WhatsApp, confessed a close college friend who previously told me it was super convenient. My family members gracefully had not cared whether or not I was using an iPhone, while I know using FaceTime is a preference for them, one thing that mattered the most was, does it work? So at least with them, video chats over WhatsApp and Skype are still viable. Even Apple's starting to acknowledge that facility and fast, easy conversation, no matter what device people are using, was important. And for me, making the switch didn't change much. I still communicate with everyone in my life. It's just now that blue bubble, it's a little bit easier for my friends who prefer using an iPhone. Craig Federighi. Oh, God. Senior Vice President Craig Federighi acknowledged that opening FaceTime has become what the customers want. Very often there's someone in a large group who maybe didn't have an Apple device and you didn't want to shut them out of the party, and we didn't want to use anything. We didn't want to you have to use something other than FaceTime. So we thought, as an Apple customer, you do what you want, be able to pull in all your friends. Federighi said in an interview with the YouTube channel Your Average Consumer. But there are people out there that don't like Apple, period. So it's and the comments are typical technical lack of empathy. They say outside the USA, nobody care about iMessage. It's WhatsApp, Signal, Line, and WeChat. That's so sad. Well, fine. I like Android for several reasons, several brands, several choices. Yeah, but the experience. I could take her the UX much more like I can with the iOS app, or because my UX not here to enjoy, price point more reasonable. Samsung is creeping up there, but there's more to just affordable. Kid gets a good phone, and I don't have to worry she breaks it as much as she would an iPhone. Battery's traditionally better. iPhones are still improving, but I still train folks on mobile phones. Also, their native screen recorder, and the latest Android is a great tutorial tool. Alright, well, Android is for the third world countries, in my opinion, but I'm waiting. My daughter was challenged on this in school with regards to social challenge, and she likes Android, but was pressured about it. I sat with her and explained why I like it and what it can do. She already acclimated to Android through hand-me-down phones. Now she has her new S10 because she likes mine. Thankfully, she's more of a leader than a follower and laughs it off now. Really? I think you manipulated her. And this guy looks weird. Da Bruins. This guy on whoever this guy is. I just don't. I really think you need to listen to people, and technical people don't listen. I'll be talking about people skills. Um, I love how these people say this. That my answer for not wanting an iPhone is simple. I just don't want to own a computing device where everybody has veto power on what software I can run on it. Apple's App Store has a monopoly on iPhone apps. I can't run anything Apple doesn't want me to. That's more freedom. But again, you can. This is how you get malware on your Android device. And I mean, people want to do a lot of things on the Android, but they're opening themselves up for trouble. That's why Androids are bad, in my opinion. I haven't really played around with it long enough to really make a fair opinion on it, but I mean, like I said, I find people who use Androids are people that just can't keep their hands to themselves. So anyhow, BCOP. The time on BCOP is approaching 2:30. We're gonna do the bottom of the hour next, and then we'll continue with the second half of hour one. Do you know a techie in your life? Technical themed stuff in your office or workplace? Do you have a favorite catchphrase that your techie person may like? Visit TechieCraft.clickford.net. This website has more than 20 items available at your convenience. Shipping can be done within 3 business days. Use promo code 990BCOP at checkout to save 20% off for any orders over $25. Visit TechieCraft.clickford.net. Good afternoon, this is John Crichino in the BCOP 990 newsroom. The top story on the hour right now is Hurricane Ida is making its way to New Orleans and the the southern part of Louisiana. CNN meteorologist has this update.
This weekend, Sunday, marks 16 years since Hurricane Katrina made landfall in Louisiana. We saw how devastating that was. Now, the National Hurricane Center includes in their latest statement, extremely dangerous major hurricane this weekend for Louisiana. Well, right now, it's a Category 1, 80-mile-an-hour winds, some higher gusts moving to the northwest, and now we have hurricane warnings in place along a lot of those parishes in south central and southeastern Louisiana. And on either side, this is where we've got tropical storm warnings. So in advance of this making landfall, sometime on Sunday afternoon or early evening, you'll feel the effects. You'll see the wind pick up. You'll see that very heavy surf, and that is going to be the big problem.
BCOP News Time 101. another check on the local news at this hour. Copenhagen City Council is now requiring mask mandates on city property now till the end of September. Some opposition on Thursday night caused the council to defend their position. BCOP News Time 202. Traffic and weather together every 15 minutes next.
If BCOP 990 was a music station, it would be an eclectic blend of serious news and beautiful, high-level information to our listeners. Our listeners are one of the most brightest and smart consumers in any northern Brick England market. Tap into the highest net worth of information by contacting BCOP Sales at 231-272-9949, 231-272-9949.
Do you know a techie in your life that likes to have technical themed stuff in their office or workspace? Do you have a favorite catchphrase that your techie person may like? Visit techiecrafts.clickford.net. This website has more than 20 items available at your convenience. Shipping can be done within 3 business days. Use promo code 990BCOP at checkout to save 20% off for any orders over $25. Visit techiecrafts.clickford.net. BCOP News Time 203. It's time for traffic and weather together every 15 minutes. Here's Dean Michaels in the BCOP Traffic Center. Good afternoon. We have a problem on 93 northbound near the city line in Copenhagen. There is a vehicle, an RV vehicle. It's causing multiple minute delays. We have a problem in downtown Copenhagen near the Constitution Avenue. There is some police situation going on right now. Southbound, eastbound on 291, there is a disabled vehicle. The helper vehicles are on the scene. Transit is reporting on their closest schedule. Next traffic update in less than 15 minutes on BCOP 990. And now. And the BCOP Weather Center, the weather is going to be cooling out a little bit this weekend. It's going to be below normal. Highs in the upper 70s with a heat index near 80s. Lower 70s elsewhere with a heat index of the mid 70s. Tomorrow, more the same. Repeating current temperature, it is 71 going up to 74 in downtown Copenhagen. We have news updates at the top and bottom of every hour on News Radio 990 BCOP. This is John Cricino in the BCOP newsroom. TechBeat comes up after this break.
If BCOP
Do you know a techie in your life that likes to have technical themed stuff in their office or workspace? Do you have a favorite catchphrase that your techie person may like? Visit techiecrafts.clickford.net. This website has more than 20 items available at your convenience. Shipping can be done within 3 business days. Use promo code 990BCOP at checkout to save 20% off for any orders over $25. Visit techiecrafts.clickford.net. And now, it's a Saturday afternoon news program from BCOP 990. This is TechBeat with your host, Stephen Clickford, President at Clickford Media Services. Any questions regarding technology for your home or business? Call us now. And now, here's your host, Stephen Clickford. And welcome back to TechBeat. Just a programming note, we will be off next Saturday for Labor Day weekend. we'll be getting, we figured there'd be more technical, um, um, more technical questions regarding back to school. So we figured we'll be on. So that will be uh, September 4th. I'll be off. We'll be back on September 11th, as eerie as that date is. That will be the 20th. I'm actually, we gotta double check on that because that might be a news event. There might be a special report. So I will double check on that with our BCLP programming. But I will be off on the 4th. I might be back on the 18th. Um, as as that warrants. Here we do this once a week on Saturdays on BCOP 99, and depending on the date when I return, BRCK 550 in Mainland, I'll be on a blowtorch. TechBeat will be on a on the big Type 1 signal. So looking forward to that. Let's go to the phones right now in a moment. I'm just waiting to see here, checking my phone here on the middle of a show here. Let's go live to, let's see here. I got somebody on the line here. Hold on a moment. It happens here sometimes. Let's go live to the phones. And let's go live to Bob. Bob here on TechBeat. That's not it. Let's go to this device.
This week.
Nope, that's the wrong one. Who's messed up in the studio today? There we go. Opening up so many different channels here. All right, hello, Bob. What say you on TechBeat?
Hi. I have a question regarding iOS 13. What's your opinion on iOS 13?
Is that a question or just an open-ended question? Well, here's my thought on this. I think Apple's playing with fire with a lot of this data collection that I don't appreciate having signatures of sexually explicit content in the code of my phone. I just don't think that that is, to me, a morally or ethically right thing. I think Apple is lacking in the ethical department, and I just think it's just asking for trouble, in my opinion, in my observation with Apple. I think Apple is doing a lot of I mean, if you start doing kiddie porn, what's the next thing? Regular porn, I mean, what it's doing is Apple's using AR, using code to detect this, and that should get people concerned. I think people should be concerned about this because you're just opening a Pandora's box, and I think it's getting sold out to things. I understand protecting the children, but you can do that through apps, but doing it in the core operating system, I think there's a lot of iffiness, and I don't want to get into the weeds on the show because I'm not saying that it's obviously the wrong thing to do, but sometimes you might inadvertently download a picture from something that isn't pornography, because some people may consider it to be art, and you might not be realizing you're downloading something and uploading something you really shouldn't be doing it for one, but I just don't like how Apple is doing this. It's really sketchy.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Bob. Doesn't sound like that. Sounds like a pseudonym. Let's go to Lindsay.
Hi, how are you?
Nope, we got Mick on the line. Mick, you're on TechBeat.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you, Mick?
So I've got a couple questions regarding uh, live streaming. How should I start broadcasting my business?
All right, my question is, what are you using the live streaming to do?
I sell guns and stuff.
Ooh, guns. All right. Well, you want to be careful with that, with the way the interwebs is working. So I would say just start off with your phone, and if you got a studio.
I sell guns and stuff.
Okay. So one of the things I would just recommend is you kind of start off with your phone, and then
Okay.
yeah, work from there. Studio.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Okay. Well.
Okay.
Yeah, just start off
Thank
with the
you.
phone and then work on a studio. I'll talk about that in a later later episode, maybe on September 18th. Let's go to Lindsay is next. Lindsay, you're on TechBeat.
Hi.
That's not the right cut. Not cut, but line here.
How are you?
There we go. Let's go, Lindsay. You're next.
Steven.
Hello, Lindsay.
How are you?
I'm doing okay.
So, should I upgrade my laptop to Windows 11 now?
If you like
Oh,
bugs and stuff,
why?
if you have bugs and stuff, Lindsay, you probably don't want to be updating it right now. And I don't think you like bugs.
Oh, I want to be on the latest and greatest, you know.
But if you want things to be broken,
Thank you.
Oh, Lindsay's funny. She sends you mixed messages. Uh, oh golly. Alrighty. This program is brought to you by from Techie Crafts. It's that time of year where things tend to go creepy. Chimes of death. I don't have that cut on me, but it gets iffy. Techie Crafts has a couple things for sale. Visit techiecrafts.clickfor.net. Use BCOP990 on the Etsy checkout to save on your order. Coming up next, we will start talking about other subjects. One of the things that I think it'd be interesting to talk about is cell networks and really what this whole 5G stuff is. It really worth the getting rid of radio signals? We'll get to that in a moment. Time for traffic and weather together every 15 minutes at 2:45. Let's go to John Giordano at the top of put the window. And now, it's a Saturday afternoon news program from BCOP 990. This is TechBeat with your host, Stephen Clickford, President at Clickford Media Services. Any questions regarding technology for your home or business, call us now. And now, here's your host, Stephen Clickford. Yeah, it's been a busy week for me. Just finally got the ability to. I own an Apple Xserve, and I was able to. The base operating system is what is it? Trying to remember offhand. It runs uh, Lion. But I was able to get VMware Fusion version 6 to run on the Xserve, and I was able with that. I was able to run a newer Mac OS via virtualization on an older unsupported Mac. Although theoretically it can work with some tweaking, but between Apple and Microsoft not making these things tweakable anymore because of security reasons, which often is not really from hackers, but just they don't want you to run another guy's operating system on their hardware or the licensing in the case of Microsoft. One of the things I think I'm going to talk about here on TechBeat is basically just the advice for people to learn to be an enterprise. Why am I encouraging you to be an enterprise? Well, because small businesses tend to run like a small mom and pop shop, and typically mom and pop shops are like small little businesses with really no outcomes and things of that nature. So I'd like to think that you should think like an enterprise, and really consumers, small businesses, is just basically consumers on a large scale. You're mass consuming. Typically, if you're a restaurant or something like that, you're doing a lot of consuming for the consumers. I don't think that's a good way to run businesses, and I'll give you advice on how to do that in the future. And the show is since it is a tech show, we talk about enterprise tech as well, not just gadgets and gizmos, but applications. Since our audience tends to be business oriented, we have executives, our listeners on both BCOP and BRCK 550 down in Manila. We get to those audiences, so we want to make sure that you're being served properly in the future here on BCOP and BRCK down the road. Just to let you know, I will be on September 11th. I guess with that, it will be a day that I'll be doing the show on, but I will not be on tomorrow because of the holiday. Coming up next, I will talk to you a little bit more about just how talk about virtualization, because I don't think a lot of people are familiar with that subject. So we'll be doing that, and we'll get to that after the 3 o'clock read. But right now, there is some questions that I get asked about. What about internet dating? What do you think about online dating? I think online dating is actually a joke. I think online dating is being misused. People are now using hookup apps like Tinder to find their boyfriends. So much for having a one-night stand on the old platforms, but can't fix stupid, right? But Facebook, a lot of these things are trolls. And again, most people that are using the sites and apps are mostly guys, and ladies are bountied on these platforms, get paid to use their photos to never be taken seriously, I guess. Um, Catfishing in a way. I just don't recommend online dating. I don't think it's as good as it was 20 years ago. I think there's a lot of nefarious stuff, and I don't think it's just guys either. I think girls are at it too. Not to say that men are bad. I think men are bad in general. In my view of things and how I see things. So yeah, I just don't recommend that. All right, 257 on BCOP 990. We will take a break in just a few seconds, and then I'll come back at 3:06 for the second hour of TechBeat. In the spirit of Copenhagen, news, traffic, and weather, this is BCOP, BCORFM, and BCOE AM 821 Copenhagen. Good afternoon, this is John Crichino in the BCOP 990 newsroom. The top story on the hour right now is Hurricane Ida is making its way to New Orleans and the southern part of Louisiana. CNN meteorologist has this update.
This weekend, Sunday, marks 16 years since Hurricane Katrina made landfall in Louisiana. We saw how devastating that was. Now, the National Hurricane Center includes in their latest statement extremely dangerous major hurricane this weekend for Louisiana. Well, right now it's a Category 1, 80-mile-an-hour winds, some higher gusts moving to the northwest, and now we have hurricane warnings in place along a lot of those parishes in south central and southeastern Louisiana. And on either side, this is where we've got tropical storm warnings. So in advance of this making landfall, sometime on Sunday afternoon or early evening, you'll feel the effects. You'll see the wind pick up. You'll see that very heavy surf, and that is going to be the big problem.
BCOP News Time 101. Another check on the local news at this hour. Copenhagen City Council is now requiring mask mandates on city property now till the end of September. Some opposition on Thursday night caused the council to defend their position. BCOP News Time 202. Traffic and weather together every 15 minutes next.
If BCOP 990 was a music station, it would be an eclectic blend of serious news and beautiful, high-level information to our listeners. Our listeners are one of the most brightest and smart consumers in any northern Brick England market. Tap into the highest net worth of information by contacting BCOP Sales at 231-272-9949, 231-272-9949.
Do you know a techie in your life that likes to have technical themed stuff in their office or workspace? Do you have a favorite catchphrase that your techie person may like? Visit techiecrafts.clickford.net. This website has more than 20 items available at your convenience. Shipping can be done within 3 business days. Use promo code 990BCOP at checkout to save 20% off for any orders over $25. Visit techiecrafts.clickford.net. BCOP News Time 203. It's time for traffic and weather together every 15 minutes. Here's Dean Michaels in the BCOP Traffic Center. Good afternoon. We have a problem on 93 northbound near the city line in Copenhagen. There is a vehicle, an RV vehicle. It's causing multiple minutes delays. We have a problem in downtown Copenhagen near the Constitution Avenue. There is some police situation going on right now. Southbound, eastbound on 291, there is a disabled vehicle. The helper vehicles are on the scene. Transit is reporting on their closest schedule. Next traffic update in less than 15 minutes on BCOP 990. And now. And the BCOP Weather Center, the weather is going to be cooling out a little bit this weekend. It's going to be below normal. Highs in the upper 70s with a heat index near 80. Lower 70s elsewhere with a heat index of the mid 70s. Tomorrow, more the same. Repeating current temperature, it is 71 going up to 74 in downtown Copenhagen. We have news updates at the top and bottom of every hour on News Radio 990 BCOP. This is John Cricino in the BCOP newsroom. TechBeat comes up after this break.
If BCOP 9...
Do you know a techie in your life that likes to have technical themed stuff in their office or workspace? Do you have a favorite catchphrase that your techie person may like? Visit techiecrafts.clickford.net. This website has more than 20 items available at your convenience. Shipping can be done within 3 business days. Use promo code 990BCOP at checkout to save 20% off for any orders over $25. Visit techiecrafts.clickford.net. The following program on BCOP 990 is not representative of the management or employees of this station. Any device given on BCOP 990's airwaves should be consulted with a technical professional. BCOP radio cannot be held liable for any mistakes or errors caused by the talent or the caller in question. Thank you. And now, it's a Saturday afternoon news program from BCOP 990. This is TechBeat with your host, Stephen Clickford, President at Clickford Media Services. any questions regarding technology for your home or business, call us now. And now here's your host, Stephen Clickford. Alrighty, welcome back to hour number 2 of TechBeat. We focus on the news parts of technology. You can contact us on BCOP 990 on different ways to contact me. Other stuff in the TechBeat. We're going to need to talk about. One second, I lost my train of thought here in terms of talking about technology. Yes, virtualization. That was what I was going to bring up today. Virtualization is a kind of it's really another word to describe cloud, and it really just allows you to do more with less stuff without worrying about I don't know how to describe it. This is the whiteboard hour. So if you're watching us on the live stream on BCOP TV's YouTube page, we recommend you to check us out. We are partners with BCOP Radio, and this is not a magic mouse. It looks like one, but it's not. It looks like an eraser. I'm almost just lost my screen here. So, here, let's talk about virtualization. So, in order for you to do, it's not emulation. It allows you to use multiple. It allows you to do multiple different operating systems in one instance, on one piece of hardware. So you could have theoretically, we'll just use a tower, an Optiplex tower, for example. I love to sketch computer stuff. So inside the computer is, let me do the old Intel logo. Let's see, Intel inside. But what you need specifically is anything beyond Pentium, Pentium 4, dual core, and anything above that. Yeah, my penmanship is kind of wacky here. But basically, what it does is there's a certain part of the CPU that can allow it to run a operating system from when a regular operating system runs on top of it. So what that is, so now you see that the Intel, so you need to have like a modern CPU, but most CPUs have this, and by default, the virtualization engine may be disabled or enabled. But how you run, let's say a Linux box, if you're running Windows 10, is a thing called a hypervisor. So type 1 is, I think, the bare one. Forgive me, I should check before I run with this. But type 1 and type 2. Type 1 or 2, if I'm not mistaken. One is one of them allows you to run a small operating system that basically runs these virtual machines. So what they are is they're large files, depending on how big the hard drive is, because the storage, it will be the thing that holds your data virtually. And then like the memory and the CPU settings and your peripherals that you plug in, that's only just a few megabytes. So it's really the storage that is. So ESXi, for example, or vSphere, it's basically a small operating system that can run a bunch of VMware instances. Whether it's Linux, say it's Windows, say it's old Windows, could be DOS, could be anything. Because at that point, it uses your CPU carves it up, and it could carve it up further. So let me do a better sketch on your CPUs. Typically, they're cores, so there's particularly you have multiple chips per silicon. So if you have one CPU, most likely it's going to be divvied up into two. Right? It could get really wonky in the language, but let's just say you have two CPUs and you hear the phrase quad core. That means there's four little CPUs in one chip, and if you have a dual CPU, and then you get into your 8 cores, and so each CPU can do its own thing, but in the virtualization sense, you can literally map your PCs on these cores, depending on how complex they are. So now your question is, how do I get into the VMware? Because typically what you'll see on your screen when you run an ES6i is a yellow screen with a button. So how do I install Windows? So there's a web-based app that you have to, it depends on what version of VMware you've got. Or there's a client which runs on Windows, and you put in your IP address, and that's how you get into it. It's a headless system because its purpose is you access it through some means of remote. So that's one type. The other type runs on top of your existing operating system. Typically, if you're testing out an operating system or you're building one to put into your big data center, what you typically do in this setup is I'm going to just use Windows. I'm going to try to do my Windows logo here. So inside your computer, you might have Mac or Windows and stuff like that. Let's just try to do that. And then what you could do at that point is run Linux. I'm going to try to do a hard job at making a Penguin Mac OS. And theoretically, it depends on what environment you have. I just got a comment on my Insta. Does the headless horseman use it? Oh, maybe. So basically, with this is you're running your regular computer, whether it's a laptop, desktop, with that, and there's a program that you can run like VMware Fusion, Parallels Desktop, VirtualBox. So what it needs is it needs a desktop operating system to run it, and then that's not headless. That one has like a cutout window where you can get into it. So basically, what it does is it carves out your computer's resources, whether it's your memory, your RAM, and your CPU. I'm trying to do a sketch here. And then your video memory, and then you have other resources. What it does is it carves it out, and then basically it's supposed to be in a sandbox. That's the easiest word to describe virtualization. Is that you're carving out your resources for different. You might want more memory for an application server. You might want to run like Windows XP where your computer cannot run Windows XP anymore. Things like that where you tend to virtualize. And really, why do you virtualize? Well, if you want a server to do multiple things, you typically don't want to run one server for everything. So let me just sketch out just some rack mounts, because that would probably what a lot of people are familiar with. So let's do print, file, then you have your networking, and then you have applications, databases, and then your authentication, your login stuff. So I'll just write login. Right, so a lot of these CPUs or these servers are really designed to really just run one operating system. So let me just do a meter here. Typically, your CPU is running at like 45 to 30% idle. Let's look at your memory load. If you got 2 gigs by default, so a lot of servers that were high end were by default shipped with very little specs. Like think of the Pro Lions, the Power Edge, and stuff like that. So with let's just say there's 4 gigs, and it was like really chewing up like 2 gigabytes. And then your networking, probably you get 1 gig, and then 0. You're kind of, you know, trailing between 500 to 700 megs, stuff like that. Um, so that's why you virtualize that. So what you do is, if you want to run everything on one box, you basically want to get like, if you're a home lab, small business, one of your options is to get a high-end workstation, because it's basically designed to do multiple stuff. So here's a Z series. There's Dell's Optiplex. Get the Precision workstation, and then you get your servers, the rack mounts. For most people, if you're not doing intense computational stuff, you don't really need the really high end stuff, but just something that holds a lot of, you have multiple CPUs. So I recommend 4 CPUs, dual core or quad core. I recommend you go with quad. So typically you'll have 8 processor cores. And then the other thing that you would want is a lot of RAM, up to 64. I would say a lot of the servers made 15 years ago that you find on eBay or Mercari, you could get a good system for a really decent price. Although the VMware may not like the older stuff, and again, get into religious stuff. I'm not going to talk about religion on this show and this channel. So you get that kind of environment, and then you get to the 64 gigs. Storage, if you can. If you can't, you might want to look at storage solutions and things like that. So that is basically it. Where's my magic mouse? Like, it's not a real one. It's just an eraser I got at Ocean State Job Lot, and that's not an endorsement. But we're running a little bit late on time here. Sorry about that. We gotta get to our traffic and weather together every 15 minutes. I thought it was 3:17. I didn't get my notice here, so apologies about that. Let's go live to Traffic Control Center. Here is Dean Michaels. Dean? Forecasting overcast, cooler than it was. Temperatures in the upper 70s with a slight heat index. Right now it's 78 going to 81 in downtown Copenhagen. We'll be back on the TechBeat in a moment. I gotta get a timer. All right, welcome back to TechBeat. Before we go to our bottom of the hour news update here, I just thought I'd play this Kelly Evans cut. It's only about 3 minutes. She kind of talks about um, the who needs Amazon Prime. But this is the same woman who got off of Facebook, and she's proud of it. Although she deactivated her Facebook, there's a difference there. So she did this blog post and then a podcast for CNBC. She's the anchor on Exchange. Let's just play some of this and see what her thoughts are.
Hi, I'm Kelly Evans, host of CNBC's The Exchange. And here's what's on my mind. I'm not saying I don't need Amazon, but do I still need Amazon Prime? I've apparently been a member since 2005, which is basically when it started. I think back then it was $79 a year. Now it's up to $119. Not horrible. That's basically 2.5% inflation each year, more or less the broader rate. But in 2005, I was a college student in a pretty rural place. Amazon was a cheap and convenient alternative to driving 45 minutes to get to the mall or the Container Store, and I used it for everything, all the time. Now I'm a mom and a homeowner, and Amazon's convenience is getting to a point where it hurts more than helps our life. The more stuff that's haphazardly showing up every week, the less efficient our household is being. Plus, so much of what we need comes down to groceries. And as much as I love Amazon's Whole Foods curbside pickup, it still isn't as efficient as shopping at Costco, where we are also paying members. In fact, Jeff Bezos is said to have gotten the idea for Amazon Prime from Costco's own Jim Sinegal. So we decided last month, bye-bye Amazon Prime, hello Costco, even if it means taking 3 kids in tow there a couple times a month. I've mentioned this here and there to people to see if it sounds crazy. Amazon reiterated in its earnings last month it believes it creates at least $630 of annual value for people, since buying online takes 15 minutes versus a 1-hour trip to the store. But I think we might actually save at least that much by shopping more purposefully now. And I realize that while we are zigging, the rest of the world is zagging. And I should add, we don't watch Prime Video, which many others do. Amazon added 35 million Prime members globally last year, according to Cowen, as the pandemic destroyed brick-and-mortar trips. Cowen now thinks Amazon has 67% household penetration in the U.S. and such market strength that they're likely to raise the cost of a Prime membership again next year. Argus thinks these new members will be incredibly sticky. Writing earlier this month, we believe there is no turning back for Prime members who may be in for a shock when they face the limited inventory and uneven sizes in physical retail stores. To which I would simply say, you can still order from Amazon without Prime. You can also order from Walmart or Target. There is a lot more one-stop online shopping today than there was in 2005, and rivals have curbside pickup too. From this point of view, Amazon's reported plans to open department stores make a little more sense. They have seemingly tried every which way to crack the physical presence nut. I asked retail consultant Jan Niffen about this during Rapid Fire the other day. Amazon has been a pretty bad brick-and-mortar retailer so far, he said, and they're not growing that fast online anymore. Well, maybe they are, maybe they're not, but retail remains Amazon's overwhelmingly important line of business. It did $98 billion in retail sales last quarter per Argus versus less than $15 billion in its cloud business, Amazon Web Services. That said, the cloud business is a lot more profitable. So who knows if there is a real risk of attrition in Prime membership, which would seemingly undercut a big plank of the bull story on Amazon. Its retail sales profit margins, Argus says, are less than 4%. Less than 4%. And without Prime, they probably wouldn't be nearly as attractive to investors. All I know is that for our household, the great subprime or maybe non-prime experiment is now underway. Let's see just how long we can hold out. Thanks for listening, and be sure to follow the Exchange podcast. And you can also catch the show live weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, only on CNBC. See you then.
Okay, that she's kind of an old-fashioned person from my point of view, but Amazon is a company that is picking and choosing when they want to be a company and when they want to be a charity, in my opinion. We'll come back on the other side and take some of your calls. But first, let's get to our news update in a moment here. We'll see if this will work here. We'll take a break.
To measure
It
up.
would be an
Plus, back
eclectic
to
blend
work
of
or
serious
back at
news
home.
and
Which
beautiful,
is it?
high-level
Jim's the
information to our listeners. Our listeners are one of the most brightest and smart consumers in any northern Brick England market. Tap into the highest net worth of information by contacting BCOP Sales at 231-272-9949. 231-272-9949.
Good afternoon. This is John Crichino in the BCOP 990 newsroom. The top story on the hour right now is Hurricane Ida is making its way to New Orleans and the the southern part of Louisiana. CNN meteorologist has this update.
This weekend, Sunday, marks 16 years since Hurricane Katrina made landfall in Louisiana. We saw how devastating that was. Now, the National Hurricane Center includes in their latest statement extremely dangerous major hurricane this weekend for Louisiana. Well, right now it's a Category 1, 80-mile-an-hour winds, some higher gusts moving to the northwest, and now we have hurricane warnings in place along a lot of those parishes in south central and southeastern Louisiana. And on either side, this is where we've got tropical storm warnings. So in advance of this making landfall, sometime on Sunday afternoon or early evening, you'll feel the effects. You'll see the wind pick up. You'll see that very heavy surf, and that is going to be the big problem.
BCOP News Time 101. Another check on the local news this hour. Copenhagen City Council is now requiring mask mandates on city property now till the end of September. Some opposition on Thursday night caused the council to defend their position. BCOP News Time 202. Traffic and weather together every 15 minutes next.
If BCOP 990 was a music station, it would be an eclectic blend of serious news and beautiful, high-level information to our listeners. Our listeners are one of the most brightest and smart consumers in any northern Brick England market. Tap into the highest net worth of information by contacting BCOP Sales at 231-272-9949. 231-272-9949.
Do you know a techie in your life that likes to have technical themed stuff in their office or workspace? Do you have a favorite catchphrase that your techie person may like? Visit techiecrafts.clickford.net. This website has more than 20 items available at your convenience. Shipping can be done within 3 business days. Use promo code 990BCOP at checkout to save 20% off for any orders over $25. Visit techiecrafts.clickford.net. BCOP News Time 203. It's time for traffic and weather together every 15 minutes. Here's Dean Michaels in the BCOP Traffic Center. Good afternoon. We have a problem on 93 northbound near the city line in Copenhagen. There is a vehicle, an RV vehicle. It's causing multiple minute delays. We have a problem in downtown Copenhagen near Constitution Avenue. There is some police situation going on right now. Southbound, eastbound on 291, there is a disabled vehicle. The helper vehicles are on the scene. Transit is reporting on their closest schedule. Next traffic update in less than 15 minutes on BCOP 990. And now. And the BCOP Weather Center, the weather is going to be cooling out a little bit this weekend. It's going to be below normal. Highs in the upper 70s with a heat index near 80s. Lower 70s elsewhere with a heat index of the mid 70s. Tomorrow, more the same. Repeating current temperature, it is 71 going up to 74 in downtown Copenhagen. We have news updates at the top and bottom of every hour on News Radio 990 BCOP. This is John Cricino and the BCOP newsroom. TechBeat comes up after this break.
It's BCOP 990.
On BCOP 990. The following program on BCOP 990 is not representative of the management or employees of this station. Any device given on BCOP 990's airwaves should be consulted with a technical professional. BCOP radio cannot be held liable for any mistakes or errors caused by the talent or the caller in question. Thank you. And now, it's a Saturday afternoon news program from BCOP 990. This is TechBeat with your host, Stephen Clickford, President at Clickford Media Services. Any questions regarding technology for your home or business? Call us now. And now, here's your host, Stephen Clickford. And welcome back to the bottom of the hour. We're going on to our last quarter of programming, notwithstanding no traffic and weather and commercial break. But yeah, I got a little bit tied up on the programming. We're going to do a better job at timing here. Let's go back to the whiteboard and talk to you a little bit more about really in terms of clouds too, because do you really want to keep your data in one spot or one cloud service? There's a lot of questions whether or not the data is reliable. What happens if you say something offensive? Could a network provider take that down? The questions, yes. You gotta really make sure your data is diversified. It's almost like an investment now. So stuff that I would put into a cloud would be published media if you're in the media business. Login information, especially if people are using multiple devices, and if it's bring your own stuff, and maybe your work documents, not Word, but work documents. But the problem is that a lot of these cloud providers aren't designed to. If you're responsible for your own data. There's a lot of, and that's part of it is because of the so-called bulk collection, the mass surveillance and stuff like that, even for enterprises, of which I would be concerned with as well. Something I would keep locally, if you use virtual machines, keep your virtual machines local. Another thing would be your critical documents. And raw video if you're in media. So I'll just write raw media. because you don't want that to be seen by your people. And the question is, the issue is you want to make sure that how do you keep yourself secure if you keep things on prem, as the people in the industry call it? Well, there's I'm talking to an audience that probably have less than 254 employees and 254 users and stuff like that. So one of the things you want to do is you want to do access control lists, or better known as ATLs. This controls what type of traffic, what type of internet traffic goes on what, and things like that. You want to make sure you have a good firewall. That separates what's local and what goes out. Your router, which more or less is going to be your firewall and your ACLs, right? So that would be your layer 3, and I'll do the square symbol here. Another thing that you want to do is you want to your firewall ACLs. Another thing that you want to look for in your security is your switching. You should get a managed switch at the bare minimum. Now, what's a managed switch? Well, a managed switch costs a little bit more, but you can control what kind of LANs that you have, because if you have multiple LANs, you probably are dealing with VLANs, and if not, you probably should get a network technician, especially if your network is slow. Don't say that the Wi-Fi is slow, because typically what causes a slow Wi-Fi is multiple different things. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't plug in anymore because they just don't want to. And if I were a technician, I would be really careful on that. Manage switch, so you can turn off ports, or basically allow certain devices to plug in, and when it gets to like the 5th device, it will shut it off because it will know that it's too many things have been plugged in a certain amount of time. So that's one thing I recommend. Um, Virtual LANs, you can basically, uh, typically, it's to separate your networks so they're not all talking to one another all at the same time. Because the noisier your network is, even in the figurative sense, um, it will slow down your performance. Now, theoretically, um, you don't need to do like another IP address scheme um, if you don't need to. How I'm working here is kind of not your conventional approach, so I'm gonna just erase what I just wrote here because it's just sort of to give you a bigger. If you're watching this on the stream, so I'm gonna do a big switch here just to show it to you. I'm going to make a random number of 77 and 88, for example. So one LAN, they actually run on the same IP network scheme, even though it's not recommended by the Cisco's of the world. So I'll just put my, I think it's 172.16.2.0. So typically this LAN goes to that LAN, that one, it goes to 77, 77, 88, 88. And the reason why I did it this way was A, keep the networks simplify my network, but also, if I'm plugged on this side of the switch, I could get into all my management devices, all my resources, and 88 is more like the surfing, general access, and stuff like that. So there's less servers on this LAN, so therefore it's not going to congest this LAN. So you can do that. Probably not the most, like I said, the most conventional way. Another option you can do is now, what if you want to have your server not be exposed to the internet, even though if it's firewalled? So you don't want it to phone to Microsoft or whatever. So you can, in theory, and again, there is potential security risks of this theory, but you can make a dummy IP address or an IP address that's not exposed to the internet. So you could, if you have a 172.16.2.11 and you have a router that that's for management or VoIP, um, dot two, you can have this be your dummy device if your server is 172.16.2.25, and if it hits to that device, it can't get on the internet, especially with the DNS. If your DNS and your router is the same IP address, that's how it'll get on the internet. But if you want to keep something like intranet and kind of, again, um, a hacker could get in and find all the local stuff and get into it, but but it's just another barrier protection if you don't feel comfortable. It's once an intruder gets in your network, they could go through all that stuff in your subnet, but it's not inherently an entire. Um, if you really are secure, if you're really obsessed about security, you can just put its own subnet in a different, what they call subnet mask. That's the one that starts and ends with 255 and a zero, stuff like that. So there's multiple ways you can get to that. All right, time on BCOP 345. Let's go to our traffic and weather update right now. Here's the traffic center. Here is Dean Michaels. Hope that made sense. Stuff in your that your techie person may like, visit techiecrafts.clickford.net. This website has more than 20 items available at your convenience. Shipping can be done within 3 business days. Use promo code 990BCOP at checkout to save 20% off for any orders over $25. Visit techiecrafts.clickford.net. Do you know a techie in your life that likes to have technical themed stuff in your office or workspace? Do you have a favorite catchphrase that your techie person may like? Visit techiecrafts.clickford.net. this website has more than 20 items available at your convenience. Shipping can be done within 3 business days. Use promo code 990BCOP at checkout to save 20% off for any orders over $25. Visit techiehouse.clickfor.net. Welcome back. It's 3:50 on the dot right now. This is TechBeat, and this is Stephen Clifford. We report on technology and how technology will make things better or for worse. And like I said, with we played earlier before the bottom of the Amber News update. Amazon is, whether Kelly Evans at CNBC, thinks that Amazon Prime is worth it. I didn't know Amazon Prime went back as far back as 2005, but my problem is, why are you giving it, you're betting a company that's, billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars, and people are struggling to make ends meet working for Amazon. There's a lot of things I think about technology. I think we're going to be due for some type of regulation, because technology is a new sector that really started in the 1980s and in 70s, late 70s, early 80s. This is a company that's all about growth, low interest rates. They, they were invested by venture capital firms and not your traditional bankers. And these big tech companies are just they have no standards. They're reinventing the world. This is a new thing, and they want to keep believing in this concept of new stuff. That's my take of the tech industry, and I think until there is more standards, if not, the government's gonna have to come in whether you like it or not, and whether or not the government is the right people or not is to be determined. But what I will tell you right now is what we got right now um, is isn't good either. But that's the things that we have to do, is we as a group and individuals have to speak up on this. I finished up before the break. I'm going to be tight on time here, so we are not able to take your calls due to some technical gaps, but we should be able to get it done soon with our upgrades. We're going to be getting done next week, but I'm taking a week off because family is important too. All right. So what if you're let's go back to networking and just the idea of making sure your stuff is like somewhat not exposed, or preventing it from try to prevent intrusion. So like I said, to prevent intrusion, you want to make sure you do access control lists, routing, your IP addresses, making sure that do you really need a routing or do you just want a gateway? And let me just explain what the difference between a gateway and a router is. A gateway is a device or an appliance that is designed to be pointed for traffic of whatever type, whether it's VoIP, whether it's video, whatever. That's the device that it, if you want certain traffic to go out. But let's say if you have another network or you have another type of, whether it's IP surveillance, IP telephony, and stuff like that, you want to make sure that the IP telephony traffic doesn't inflict with your data traffic on via the IP address. So that's where your routing comes in, and that's where a router comes in. It's routing multiple gateways or multiple ways of exit or entry, and that goes back to ACLs for your ingress and egress policies. And then, like I said, gateways versus routing. And so as a result, with all these different things, this is how you can prevent the intrusion. To prevent exposure, you you want to make sure you have a firewall dedicated. You also want to make sure you have your managed layers switching. You want to, if you have devices that are not wanting to be exposed entirely on the internet, you can, in a way, just have the same subnet mask that it's at 255.255.255.0 set up. You have multiple different ways to do the exposure, but the easiest way is if you have devices that don't want to be exposed, do a static IP address or just not have any IP addresses where the network would be exposed. That's just the easiest way to tell you how to do that. It's hard to describe it via audio, but that's my recommendation on this. All right. So, coming up on our next show, which will be on September 11th, Saturday, September 11th, I'll be taking calls and questions regarding school. If you're coming back to school, what computers should you see? What kind of deployments that your kids, are you a one-on-one or one-to-one school district and your kids brought home a Mac or a tablet, Chromebook, whatever, and you don't know what to do with it? We'll walk you through all that stuff. We could have done it today, but that wasn't the theme on this show. Released for today's show. We'll dabble on live streaming. That's a new, still a new phenomenon. We'll talk about that on the show. But that's all I got today. I'm sorry for the lack of. This is my new experience here. Trying to fill up time here, trying to do news and stuff like that. We'll see you next week. And then BRCK 550, Minilandians, stay watch out. I'll be on your radio on beginning on September 11th, Saturday, from 2 to 4 p.m. All right, have a great day. It's 3:58 on the dot. We'll take a 2-minute break, and then your news wheel will come back. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching and listening, particularly. I know I'm looking at my stream right here, but thank you for listening. Have a good one. The following program on BCOP 990 is not representative of the management or employees of this station. Any device given on BCOP 990's airwaves should be consulted with a technical professional. BCOP radio cannot be held liable for any mistakes or errors caused by the talent or the caller in question. Thank you.
If BCOP 990 was a music station, it would be an eclectic blend of serious news and beautiful, high-level information to our listeners. Our listeners are one of the most brightest and smart consumers in any northern Brick England market. Tap into the highest net worth of information by contacting BCOP Sales at 231-272-9949. 231-272-9949.
Do you know a techie in your life that likes to have technical themed stuff in their office or workspace? Do you have a favorite catchphrase that your techie person may like? Visit techiecrafts.clickford.net. This website has more than 20 items available at your convenience. Shipping can be done within 3 business days. Use promo code 990BCOP at checkout to save 20% off for any orders over $25. Visit techiecrafts.clickford.net.
News, traffic, and weather. This is BCOP, BCORFM, and BCOE AM 821 Copenhagen.